Hey everyone, it's Jensen here. Time for some more sports. Recap some of the stuff that's been going on. It's been a little bit crazy. So this last week, with college football going on, there was some big upsets. Iowa goes down to Purdue. That was pretty crazy. And all my predictions were just basically wrong. Like if I predicted something, basically the opposite happened. So take that for what it's worth. I must know what I'm talking about. What were some of the other big games that were going? I mean, Oklahoma won. Oklahoma State comes back against Texas, and they're still there. Oh, the Georgia and Kentucky game, the big one. Georgia just absolutely manhandled them. Showed that they were a little bit better than Kentucky. So it was entertaining and ready to move into this next week. Big week against the Irish. So should be fun. So here's my top. I went to 16 this time. So we've got number one for college football. We've got Georgia coming in at number one. Number two, I've got Cincinnati. Number three, Oklahoma. Those three I think are a touch above everyone else. But number four, I've got Michigan, undefeated. Big game against Michigan State upcoming in a couple weeks, so that should be fun. Number five, Oklahoma State. Didn't look all that great in the first half. Looked great in the second half against Texas, and so yeah. I mean, they're moving on up. We'll see if they can keep it going. Number six, Michigan State. Again, they've got the big games coming up. Number seven, undefeated Wake Forest. Yeah, still don't know what to make of them, but we'll see. They keep on winning. Number eight, I've got Coastal Carolina. Is still undefeated, still moving through their pretty cupcake of a schedule, but they've proven they're a pretty good team, so we'll see how long they can keep it going. Number nine, I've got us Alabama. They bounced back in a big way. Mississippi State caused them no trouble at all. Oregon, I have as 10. They really struggled against Cal. So, like recently, I would probably want to drop them down, but they have good games on their schedule. They have that good win against Ohio State. So I'm keeping them up there for right now, which means 11 is Ohio State. Again, Oregon beat Ohio State. They better be ranked ahead of them until something else changes. Number 12, I have Iowa. That was just embarrassing by them. Purdue just demolished them. And yeah, so we'll see if they can bounce back or if they will continue a downward spiral. Luckily for them, they're in the Big Ten West, whatever they are, Big Ten West. And it's a little bit easier than the Big Ten East, so they should be able to bounce back, I would expect. Number 13, I have Penn State. Then 14 through 16, the rest of the undefeateds, I've got SMU at 14. And they will play Cincinnati, so that could be a good game if SMU can keep on winning. Number 15, I've got San Diego State. They barely scraped by San Jose State, so who knows, what they're going to turn into. And then number 16, University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners. They're still undefeated at 7-0. So I have to admit I haven't watched any of their games. I don't even know who they played, but they are undefeated. So that's my top teams so far. Again, things can change rapidly. A lot of those I don't think are the best teams in the country. So if they lose, I mean, they're going to fall right on out. But as they haven't lost, they're deserving to be above teams that have lost. So that's where I have them. All right, so let's go. I guess, soccer was depressing for the Premier League. Liverpool is dominating. They're looking good. Manchester City is looking good. I think those two are probably the class of the league right now. Arsenal gave up the game against Crystal Palace, then jumped back to tie it late. So that was an exciting one. And of course, Manchester United just laying an egg. I don't know what's wrong with them. They haven't played good at all. So we'll see what they do tomorrow in the Champions League. The only thing you can do is win the next game, I guess. So if things don't turn around and turn around pretty quickly, I would suspect that Ole is going to get fired. But, all of my favorite teams, their coaches seem to lose. Hockey's been good. I haven't followed the league closely yet. I'll start looking into that in a little bit. But the Ducks, they lost to Minnesota on a last-second goal. They almost brought it to overtime, but Minnesota scored with 7 seconds left. And then against Calgary last night, they jumped out and were able to tie it up late. A nice goal from Ricard Raquel. And then in overtime, Troy Terry to Drysdale put it in. So that was good. Also, I'm happy Derek Grant got put on waivers. Of course, no one wants him. It was disturbing to see that he had more ice time than like Zegras and Getzlaff and all these guys. I mean, he's the fourth line guy. He's not, he's good as a fourth line guy and should be getting fourth line minutes. I don't know what you're doing playing your fourth line center more minutes than all your other guys. I don't know what. Anyways, the good thing they're two wins on the season already. So, they're young, so they're getting outshot. Yeah. Anyways, I'll talk more about them later as the season moves on. We've got the NBA season starting up today. Baseball's moving on. The Dodgers aren't looking so good, so they may be out. And then there's what I wanted to talk about and finish talking about is the big COVID situation. Now, what I thought was going to happen with COVID hasn't really happened as of yet. I was thinking that, players are going to be testing positive, and we've had a few here and there, like Kingsbury, the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. He couldn't coach because of COVID. They still won, so they're still undefeated. And I was expecting to see several, a whole bunch of players all at once having an effect, which is why I said, you should just not even test for it. That's my solution. Ignore it and get away. Anyways, what's the big story though is with what's his bucket, Kyrie Irving, for the Nets in the NBA. And then the one I care more about is Rolovich, who was just fired at Washington State. He's their head coach and was fired because the governor of our blessed state of Washington, Governor Inslee, decided that he would fire everyone that he could if they didn't get a vaccine. That's like any government person he fired. And Rolovich decided he wasn't going to get one. He tried to get an exemption, and it was denied, and so they fired him. And to me, that's just ridiculous. Just absurd. Now, I don't care what your stance is on the vaccine. Personally, when they first came out with the vaccine, I was like, I'm healthy. I don't need it all that, quickly. I wasn't against it. I was like, I'll get it when I get around to it. And then, a prophet of God said, yeah, you should probably get it. So when the prophet says, to do something, I think you should do it. And so it's really a simple thing for me. I think you should if you're an adult. But I also don't think that you should be forced to. And And people are just ecstatic that this coach got fired. All the news feeds and all the sports media are just, he deserved it. He's such an embarrassment. And you look at some of the players, they're disappointed. They want their coach there, and they stand with him. And that's my thing. So I saw some people are like, are you more respectful for Rolovich and Irving now that they're losing money? Because Irving can't play right now because of New York's rules. And I think I have more respect for what they're doing. They're willing to lose money, lose their jobs for something they believe in. Now, whether I agree with what they believe in, that doesn't matter. I don't. But I do believe that they believe it, and so they're actually standing for what they believe in, and I think that's a great thing, and I don't think they should be forced to do something that they don't want to do. And it makes me laugh because the media is attacking them, saying how dumb they are and how they're ruining the lives of their teammates and their players. And I'm like, well, they actually are standing for something, unlike some of these athletes that have got, so much praise, like LeBron James, for example, like when he attacks, whoever for the BLM movement. And it's like, okay. And then they go, oh, he's such a good activist. He's standing up to the man. Wait a second. All of you guys agree with what he's doing, which, again, not saying one way or the other, but you're all praising him. You're all agreeing. He's not really losing anything. These guys are standing on their principles and losing something. And I think it's wrong. And if it was my way of thinking, I think we shouldn't even be testing athletes for COVID. There should be no mandates. I think you should get the vaccine, but you shouldn't be forced to, and getting fired for it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, absolutely absurd. Especially Washington State has actually turned things around. They've won 3 straight games, and now they lose their coach because the governor of Washington is power hungry and thinks he should be able to tell other people what to do. And I just don't like it. And so that's my political sports talk mixed in together. I'm happy that, at least they're standing on their principles. They're principled people, I guess. And I think you can respect them for that. Unlike some people that, if you're getting praise from everyone, it's not a sacrifice. They're sacrificing for what they believe in. They shouldn't have to, but they are. Anyways, we'll talk about the USC Notre Dame game coming up soon. Hopefully the good stuff happens there. Hopefully Manchester United wins their Champions League game. And, you have Göteborg won. We're slightly above relegation there in the Allsvenskan. So, they're awful though. Anyways, that's about it for now. So have it so good.